According to a recent Johns Hopkins study, medical mistakes are the third leading cause of death in the United States. When a procedure goes wrong, it's important to have the correct information to protect your rights. That's when you need to call the Yost Legal Group. Joining me now is Tom Yost of the Yost Legal Group. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
It's an important topic to think about, and I think a lot of times we don't want to think about it because it's a fear for many of us. When we're going into a medical procedure, what should we do on the front end to protect ourselves?
Yeah, I think communication is very important. Ask questions, try to find out from the doctor what to expect, what could go wrong, and what to do if something is, you experience something that you're not expecting. And I think the most important thing is to speak up.
To speak up. So how do we know if something is amiss? I mean, sometimes we're getting these procedures done and we've never had them done before. We don't really know.
Yeah, I mean, we trust our medical providers that they're going to do everything right and that they're going to check on us and make sure that nothing goes wrong. But we don't know, and that's just it. You just don't know. Many people leave a hospital, or worse yet, they can't leave the hospital, and they just don't know.
And so it's really speaking up and trusting our gut. So if something feels wrong, even if we don't know, because we're not the doctors, to speak up and to what, get a second opinion or to talk to our doctor again?
Right. I mean, yeah, in advance, it's always a good idea to get a second opinion. Make sure that you need the procedure, make sure that this is the right way to approach your medical issue or your medical problem. And, you know, a lot of the problems are errors, things that are preventable. Infections are a big problem. You know, in hospital safety is a big concern. So in America, every day 1,000 people will die. Over 1,000 people will die today because of a medical error. It's over, I think, 440,000 people a day die because of medical errors. So if someone dies and it was unexpected, you know, you should ask questions, and maybe not at the hospital, maybe someone else.
And there are laws in place that will protect us as patients, correct?
Well, we have civil rights. You know, in the civil justice system, we have the right to seek compensation for the loss of a loved one, or to get reimbursed for our medical care that we didn't really need when we went into the hospital, but because a mistake was made or an accident occurred or because there was a medical error, we suddenly need a lot more treatment and care.
And getting that care on the, I guess, the end of a situation where something went wrong, sometimes that's legal care. Sometimes that's just making sure that we're protected and that our bills are paid and that our medical care is taken care of. We can turn to you if we need that help, right?
Yeah, one of the most common situations are people have a disability, children, for example, and they're going to need a lifetime of care, and that can get very expensive. And sometimes people say, well, we're not responsible. And so people don't always know, am I entitled to this care? Or should they be reimbursing me for this care? And the hospitals don't always tell you when a mistake's been made, so you need to turn to someone else.
So when they are making that call, let's just say something has happened and they're calling you, what is sort of the protocol? What do? They just call you and tell you what happened? Do they make an appointment? How does it work?
That's the most common thing that people do. They call, they get to speak with a professional attorney, and they will you know, listen to the situation and try to see, is this a kind of situation that probably should have occurred, and then we'll schedule an appointment to have them to come in. Many times you can answer questions over the phone. Many times they need to go back to the doctor and see if there is a problem, get diagnosed or tested, or sometimes they just need to get their medical records to see what occurred.
All really important information. I think a lot of times we just don't know where to begin. So I want to ask you that question for our viewers. If you have reservations about a mistake that may have occurred during your surgery, you can call the Yost Legal Group at 1-800-YOST-LAW for a free consultation. Thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate it.
Thank you very much for having me.
And we'll be right back with more Midday Maryland right after this. Stay tuned.